Going to go.
I have no idea, but we're live. We're live, everybody. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Conversations in Pop Culture. We are back in the saddle once again for another season. And I have with me comic creator RB White, who has done work for a bunch of different companies, Dynamite, Merc Mag, a bunch of small publishers. And so I'm super excited to have you on. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I
Yeah,
hope
no,
it will be fun, and I hope we are going to have some people watching.
Yeah. I have a feeling a bunch of people are going to watch, come into this, and then they're going to see it on replay too, which will be exciting. But obviously, I want to talk to you about your current campaign, Ruby and Jade issue 2. But
Hmm.
before we get into that, I briefly kind of want to talk about your background because you've been doing this comic stuff for a while. You've been doing some animation for a while. Obviously, you've been an artist in Europe. I think you're in Canada now, I believe. I could be mistaken on that. Um,
Yes, I'm in Canada for the last 20 years now.
and so obviously I think it is important for people to know your background because you're not just doing the comic stuff. You have a very long history of being in the art sector and doing a lot of different things. And I think it's so interesting your entire career.
I've been doing a lot of different things because variety is also very important in this job because you have ups and downs in work, and I mean financial ups and downs. So if you are able to apply all those different type of skills in the different industries, you are going to be employed all the time and you'll be able to make a good living for you and of course for your family. So I've been professionally working in animation 34 years now, of course, long time ago before computers as simple in-betweener, then animator, layout artist, designer, and last 20 years I'm mostly doing layouts and designs for animation studios or clients, different clients everywhere. So I did work for Disney TV, for Nickelodeon, animation, Yowza Studio, Universal Pictures. Hasbro has a huge studio and huge animation production, even though it's a toy company. Also Mattel. So for Mattel, I was designing Ever After High. It's a teenage TV show, animated TV show, and the dolls, even though it sounds they're all high, but that's the name. I didn't make the name. So a lot of TV shows behind me, mostly in the last, let's say, 12 to 15 years. Clients are Hasbro, Mattel, and Spin Master toy companies who are using those TV shows as a promotional tool for merchandise. So you see tons of my covers, and they're all sometimes inappropriate, sometimes sexy, but you never saw my work that I did for preschool TV shows like Paw Patrol, for Welcome to the Ring, for Bubble Guppies, for Nickelodeon, or Welcome to the Ring is also Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol is Spin Master. So Curious George, for example, when they did the first 3D movie, I was on that crew. That was 17 years ago. So that
So
was
let's talk about that a little bit because obviously you have this animation background, you have this toy background that you've worked on, and then obviously you've done all of that, and I think you're still involved in that sector. And then
yes, I'm always involved. That's a serious job.
and so what is that like though? Because when animation right now, and I'm a big anime fan, animation and anime is a huge influence. It's really popular. And when people come in from animation and then they come into comics, I feel they have a very different perspective on art. They have a different perspective on how to produce a cover or how to do panel work. And what is that like for you? Because you've done a bunch of comic work and you're still
In,
doing
uh,
comic work, but what is that like? Because I feel it's a different perspective versus
in animation and those major movies, quality is required to be on extremely high level. So you don't have time to fool around with your perspective, with your construction, with your anatomy, with the movements, with the proportions, all those technical things that comes with an art. So with that kind of drill for more than 30 years, anything you want in the comics, I can draw it. Very simple, very fast. Any camera point of view, any composition, any kind of anatomy, foreshortenings, everything that is tricky for the artist. Artists here don't like to do a lot of backgrounds. Backgrounds are complicated, backgrounds are busy, backgrounds are a lot of construction and planning. I do that for living more than 30 years. So right now, the book that I'm promoting on a Kickstarter, I'm just doing for the fun. I'm expecting to pay all the expenses. I have some artists helping me with the colors because it's a digital coloring, of course, and it takes a lot of time because there's a lot of pages, and I can't physically do everything on my own. I mean, I can, but it will take me 6 months. So having somebody who's faster, doing things like that, doing colors at the same time, not just the final colors, what is most important for me, doing all the selections, proper selections in the Photoshop and separating things on the layers so I can just overpaint everything. If it needs to be overpainted, it needs to be fixed or adjusted. That's easy. It doesn't take a lot of time once when you have proper setup of the PSD files. That's why I like working the comic books because it's fun and gives me complete freedom to do whatever I want instead of working on some preschool shows that are bringing a lot of money.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into the Kickstarter and talk about that in a little bit, but I do want to show some of your comic work and some of the covers you've done. And I figured we would start with Vampirella, and I'm probably going to do this somewhat out of order. And I'm only picking a few, the ones that I like the most out of your career. And you've done a bunch of cool stuff, and I know you've done this one, and this is Vampirella 20, and then there was a version of this one, and then there was the black and white version of this one. And this is definitely.
You missed Vampirella 19 as well.
I have those somewhere in here. We're doing them
Okay, of course. You don't have to go in order.
I promise. We're mixing it up a little bit, everybody. We're mixing it up a little bit. But
I think number 23, Vampirella 23 was fun. I'm not sure do you have that one because I suggested them to do not the black and white version like you see, grayscale, but to do pencil version. And they actually did it. So I'm not sure if you have that one. Not that one. That one was done for Comics Elite. This one, yes, that's the pencil version. Thank you for having that one.
Yeah.
I wanted to show.
This is the version, right?
Yes.
That one. This is the trade dress, and then this is the pencil.
Yes, I wanted to have pencil because I like pencil. Pencil is always much nicer than a digital color, and I do inking, of course, on the paper. I don't do digital ink. I mean, I can do it, but I don't like it. And also, when you do traditional pencils and traditional inking on a paper, you can always sell originals. And digital, you can't sell. You can just make some prints and that's it. And original artwork is really, really beautiful once when you frame it or put it in your portfolio.
Yeah, and even to talk about that element where obviously, when you do something, the pencils, you have the original inks. Obviously, you were saying you could sell it, but also it's, there's an art form to that as well when it's an actual pencil sketch versus, I feel, done digitally. And I think it's a lost art, in my opinion, at the very least, when a comic creator doesn't know how to draw on a cover. It becomes an issue because they're so familiar with drawing on an iPad. And I think it's a real problem that's occurred in comics. And I'm curious what you think about that because, and this might get us into some trouble, but, I'm not shy to dive into that.
Before softwares, it was hard to be an artist. Now with the softwares, a lot of people who don't know and don't have any clue about the art can be artists. And nowadays with the AI, everybody's artist. So people think they're creating something. People feel that they're creators, and they're not. All those softwares are also giving you options to adjust everything, even to adjust your line. So you think you're drawing something, but you don't know. Computer is just fixing your line, like in Anime Studio, Sketch Pro, Procreate, or ArtRage. They're helping you. They're crutches giving you actual feeling that you're creating something, but you're not. If you want to see what artists can do, just give them pencil and the paper, and that's it. I see that every day because I work at a college teacher, and that's the general problem with the future. So I'm sorry about that, but that's it. And the biggest thing is when you work on a computer, you actually work on a computer. When you do the pencils and when you're inking, you're actually having fun. You're not working. You're enjoying what you're doing. So it's a different process. That's important.
It's so interesting. And then obviously I want to dive into a few more Vampirella covers. And I did show this one. And
25 is nice. If you have 25, that was asked from me to do something like Alex Ross. You remember that Alex Ross famous Joker and Harley cover? So they asked me to do
I don't know. You there? I don't know if you're there. I don't know what's going on. And I'm just going to wait. Hopefully you're back.
here, bud.
You're good. You're good. You're good. You're back. It's all good.
Thanks. I don't know what happened. Internet told me that I have to reload again. We are talking about Vampirella.
Yes, we are.
for the covers? I don't have
I mean, this is another one that you did,
That was done for Comics Elite.
and then this is the pencils of that or the inks.
Inks, yes, for that one.
And then I think this is the trade. This is that's not the trade. That's this right here. There's this one right here, and you got those two. And so, what's the story behind this one? Because I like this one a lot. Obviously, I like
Comics Elite. Comics Elite is comic book publisher, and they have a huge bookstore. And the owner asked me to do something for him. Sean, he is a great guy. You can find them on their website, comicselite.com. They're publishing every week a lot of new stuff, and I did a lot of covers for them. For Merrick Magazine, for Nice and Naughty, Catfight, Miss Meow.
Yeah, I have a bunch of those. I know. I know there's Power Hour.
Power Hour, yes, I forgot about that.
I can't show the others. I'm sorry, everybody. I can't show the others and maintain my YouTube channel.
Yes, they all have two versions, regular and topless.
I just can't do it. I'm sorry, everybody. You're gonna have to live with it. I don't want to get suspended again on YouTube, guys. And then I know this is Miss Meow.
Yeah.
And then this is also Miss Meow, which is a very cool cover.
And that cover has three versions, not two.
And again, I can't show it, man. I can't show it. I know you want me to. It's all right. But what is that like? Because obviously Merc Mag does some really cool stuff, and they've done these right here, and then there's this one also, and I know you've done a bunch of others. But what is it like working for them? Because they've really taken a huge, step and kind of swing the bat heavy, where they have a lot of Kickstarters, they put out a lot of material, and they put out a bunch of cool stuff that's out there. And what is that like? Because they're doing $60,000, $70,000 campaigns now on Kickstarter.
They're doing great. They're really nice. Owner, Sean, great guy. We met, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 years ago. I'm not sure. On some comic convention. I think we met actually in a Motor City many years ago before the virus. And then during the virus, since I'm in Canada, I wasn't there and there wasn't shows. So last year I came in October in Motor City in Novi, and we'll be there. When I say we, that means my wife and I are always going together. So in next month, Motor City. So I mentioned that because this is where I actually first met in person Sean, and working with them was always great.
Yeah,
and hopefully we'll work more.
Yeah, and what is that like for you? Because obviously, I mean, you work with a lot of different people. Obviously, I think you worked with Corey Hardiman on Sister Mercy.
Yes, I did. He's from Canada.
Yes, he's great. He's great. He's a Canadian, except he drives an American car. Go figure that one out.
I drive Korean.
Oh man, I can't talk about Corey and his car. It makes me too sad. I mean, he drives like a Challenger now. It's crazy. It's super interesting. Last time I checked, but you work for a lot of different people, and what is that like? Because when you met Sean and you met the people from Comics Elite and obviously Merc Mag, it's such an interesting time now that we're in comics where you could be in Canada working from people from all over the US, from Canada, and from a variety of other places, and never meet them. And I don't think that could have existed 5-6 years ago.
In my animation experience, I worked on 5 different continents. I never worked in a company that is from Africa and a company that is from Antarctica. I worked everywhere. from Japan to South America, like Brazil, Europe, everywhere, because I am from Europe, North America, South America, and I did some work for some studios in Australia a long time ago, even before the internet. So everything is possible. You can do everything. There are no limits, and honestly, I worked with thousands of people and I met like a dozen in person.
It's crazy, right? It's crazy that so many people know your work from so many different areas, and you've touched so many continents and countries and people from all over the world, and yet you've never met them. And even for me, it's bewildering when I think about it. I don't think about it like every second, but I'm like, wait a second, we're in a very different time where access and engagement with people is so prevalent that anything, I think you hit it perfectly, can happen. And you can work with anybody in the world, anywhere in the world.
As I said, in animation, I was working on many, many interesting projects. I mentioned maybe 2006 movie. It was actually 2007 when it was released. Curious George, first like a 3D movie, but it's a combination of 2D and 3D animation. And I had a section where I was actually doing the layouts and posing for the characters. And all the time when I'm doing that and posing, I actually hear the voices of the characters. So I know what they are saying and what they are doing, how to do this, prepare things for animation. But those voices were Drew Barrymore and Will Ferrell. So I never saw them in my life. I was just posing them.
It's
So you
crazy.
can see you're nobody and you're actually working with the A-list Hollywood stars and you're nobody. Sitting somewhere in Canada.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I do want to shift gears, but I want to show one more cover because I like this cover a lot. And obviously, it's another Miss Me Out cover. And very Harley Quinn-esque might be the way to describe it. And
that was actually combination Miss Meow cosplay or Harley Finn. You know the comic book Harley Finn. So I was doing covers generally in that direction. And then the publisher decides does he want to do that for Harley Finn with Marat Michaels, or to do it as Miss Meow with Jane. I mean, creator of the Miss Meow, Jane. Bingo. Yes, he's also Canadian.
Yeah, he's a Canadian now living in the States. So it's crazy. It's crazy. I love Jamie Tyndall. I love everything Jamie Tyndall does. Where that guy is the best character designer right now in comics, hands down. There is nobody second to Jamie Tyndall on that front. And I'm willing to put any money on that for anybody. But enough about that because I do want.
You don't like my characters, okay?
No. I think.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I think your book is a throwback to heavy metal, to the 90s, to Top Cow.
And I published in heavy metal.
And so that's what I want to talk about your book now. And I wanted to go through your background because I think it's so important a little bit and do the quick synopsis of that. I could spend hours talking about your background and we would never ever run out of things. But I do want to talk about your Kickstarter because I get this Top Cow, Bad Girl, heavy metal vibe, fun vibe from your book.
And heavy metal magazine here at that time, especially. Heavy metal is actually translation of European magazine, French magazine, with the same name that was founded in 1976. So all of those heavy metal artists that you like Serpieri, Jimenez, Book, Marini, they're all from Europe. They don't do superhero stuff. They don't do things like here. So if my drawings are reminding you of that, I'm great. I'm happy. I'm really happy that you can compare me to those amazing artists that I was super happy to read in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And yes, I have shelves of heavy metal magazines in my room.
I'm a big fan of heavy metal. I'm a big fan of heavy metal right now. I really like what they're doing. I actually think it is a nice shift. And then I've gone backwards and I've read some stuff because I'm 30, so I was not alive when this stuff was coming out. But I love the movie Heavy Metal. I love the concept, obviously.
Which
Heavy
one,
Metal.
first or second one?
Oh, the first. I mean, the second one was horrible, man. I would have to revoke your card if you like the second one. I mean, that's a disaster.
Interesting thing with the first one is that I think half an hour or something was actually done here in Canada. And one of my friends who worked on that movie actually gave me one original cell of Tarna. So I have Tarna framed in my room. Original. Color key. Sorry. Second one is mostly Kevin Eastman and Simon Bisley. And yes, I met them both. They're both great artists.
I love Simon Basley too. I mean, my friend Ozzy Longoria is working with Simon Basley on something, and it's pretty cool. So I love everything Simon Basley has done for heavy metal. I just can't get past the second movie. I'm sorry. It has nothing against Simon Basley. I just can't do it.
No, movie is a completely different medium from the comic books. So you can't just make a good movie with two or three or four guys with the ideas. You need to have like 50, 60 people who are separated on a different levels of art, art direction for everything. So that was maybe one of the downfalls of that movie. And you're right.
But I do want to shift back to your book because obviously you have Ruby and Jade issue 2 that is
Mhm.
currently out on Kickstarter. I know you're funded. And what is the basic premise for those who have nothing, no idea what this book is about, what's going on? Obviously, there's some family feud going on here, and there's some other stuff.
Regular family feud just because they're sisters, they're actually overlords of overworld and underworld, and they're fighting each other. And you will see in my book when you read the first one, second one, I already wrote the third one, so I'll probably be drawing the third one during the summer, and maybe on or maybe October, September, October, there will be a next issue on the Kickstarter. You will slowly realize that in the third book, and then continuously, there are no good guys, bad guys relationship in this book. They're just bad guys.
Yeah, let's
There
actually
is
talk about
there
that.
is no positive things. It's just a lot of fun, a lot of action, and not single positive politically correct character.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that's what I like about this book in particular is that these are not good people, for lack of a better word, but they're fun characters and they're
They're
doing.
fun and you're getting attracted to them because they're more realistic. And as you said, they're not good people. Yes, they're realistic.
This is where I'm going with this because this is my problem with comics right now. And as a reader, I want books that are realistic. I want books that are fun, and I want books that reflect what society is. And I think a lot of creators want to create this ideal angelistic character, and they keep forgetting that you don't need to have a perfect character. You don't need to have a Superman, and it's okay to have a hateable character. It's okay to have a bad person as your character. And I think it's a real, skill what you've done here, because this is supposed to be a comic book and it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be entertaining. And I think a lot of creators have forgotten that you're supposed to tell a story to get me out of whatever day I had, whatever set I'm in. You're supposed to tell a story to make me escape. And that's my biggest problem in comics. And I think you're hitting it with this book is when I'm going to read this book, or anybody for that matter is going to read this book, they're going to be like, cool, my problems don't exist in this world. And maybe it takes me 10 minutes to read your comic, but for 10 minutes, I'm not thinking not about me. And I think it's a real skill set.
That's a nice thing to say. Thank you so much for nice words. It's maybe because you can't identify with those superheroes. You can't identify with the political correctness that is in most of the comic books. You can't identify with people who are saving the planet, saving the universe, saving the galaxy, being the guardian of everything that's good. Because that doesn't exist. But you can identify with people who are just constantly complaining and bitching about everything with funny and I hope wicked comments. So actually not explaining a lot of things like, look, here's our enemy. We are going to fight against our enemy. And hopefully we are going to win, like, so what are you doing? You're digesting the whole book for everybody. So just do something in the comic book and comments can be a little bit more realistic, more interesting. Maybe watching some European movies will also help instead of watching Hollywood type of stuff where everything has to finish nice and everybody's happy and everybody's just expressing their feelings and hugging each other. No, let's have fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, is at this point as a reader, and this is my biggest problem. Obviously, I mean, I'm a unique breed because half the stuff I buy, I'm interested in flipping and selling and making money. But then the other half, I want good, fun stories that get me out of whatever hell of a day I had. And I think, with this, they're relatable characters. Everybody, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people have a sibling, and there's fighting that occurs in families. Friends fight. That happens too. And obviously, these two sisters have powers, and these fights are just monstrous fights. And that's the other thing.
Oh, in the third issue, there will be like completely crazy. They're going out. There will be cataclysmic fights. I have the sketches, but I didn't do the proper pencils yet. It will take like 2 months for that. So be prepared.
I like to under promise and over deliver in everything that I present. But obviously, I mean, these fights are going to get out of hand, and that's what's fun about this is that these two individuals do not care who gets in their pathway, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
blast. And it also helps that both these women are pretty sexy, for lack of a better word, and it's kind of fun to see two hot chicks go at it. I'm not going to lie here. And that's not politically correct either to say, but I mean, they're both attractive characters, and that's kind of fun too.
The thing is, usually artistically anatomy is complicated. And when you have a lot of monsters, you can draw whatever you want. It's a monster. When you have a lot of men, they're just same. They're just in their tight suits, flying around, and they're just men. Nothing special. It's simple to draw. But when you have to draw female anatomy, you have a problem. Every time you make a mistake in a female anatomy, you don't have visually attractive character. A little line on the face, beside the mouth or under the eyes, she's 45. She's old. So You can't make a mistake, and I'm trying to avoid all mistakes with my characters first, in pencils, then inking, then coloring, then adjusting and fixing all the things. So for me, it's more fun because
Yeah,
drawing many teeth and boring, and they're just posing like bodybuilders all the time, making some statements, obvious statements.
so let's actually dive into what you just mentioned too, where you know you're drawing this book. You're not just writing it, you're not just scripting it, but you're the artist on it. I think you're inking it. I think you're not doing any colors on it. But what is this like?
I'm
Because
doing all the color adjustments and I'm doing colors on some colors because I don't have time to do everything.
I stand corrected. I stand corrected, everybody. But what is this like? Because you're pretty much doing everything but stapling the books together for the most part. And
Yes,
it's a very cool thing when a creator takes the project from conception to developing the story to scripting it to then doing the art, doing the coloring, doing the inking, potentially doing some editing, and then, obviously doing some cover work. It's a real complete package when a
I'm doing the lettering, I'm doing the design, I'm doing pre-press, I'm sending the files to press, and I'm picking up my books from the
you're
printer.
just not stapling them together. That's the only
No,
part of this you're not doing.
but I'm packaging them and with the help of my wife, we are sending them directly. So when you have an envelope with your address, I can write your address. If you read and if you're involved, and it's hard here to do that, if you're involved more in European comics, you will see that that's a normal standard, that you're a complete artist. Here, because of those type of superhero comics, everything a long time ago became an industry. So you don't have a lot of recognizable artists because one guy is doing the layout, one guy is doing the pencil, one guy is inking, one guy is coloring, and the initial artistic approach is gone when it goes to so many different people. Just go to the museum and see, look at the painting. There is always one signature on the painting. There isn't four signatures on the painting of the museum.
There's a concept that in old tattoo shops, it used to be a clipper shop. So what it used to be is that one guy did the outline, one guy did, potentially the shading, and then the third guy did the color. And I mean, to some degree, it was very effective because you have that, but it's also a lack of skill because if you're just an outline guy, you don't know how to shade if that's your job. And
You can compare this to a simple factory that was manufacturing, that was, let's say, designed by Ford 100 years ago. It's a movable, how can you say, track of the things, and every person is doing just one part of one job, one part, one little detail. And if you want to do art that way, you're not doing an art, actually. That's the whole point. If you're an artist, you're an artist. If you're doing a little bit of something, you're just like a handyman.
I am sure that I can't disagree with it at all now that I think about it. I mean, it is what it is.
But this is because you need every Wednesday new comic book day. But if I want to have every Wednesday new story or every month new story, I couldn't do it, of course. You can't make a book in 1 month, but you want to make sales every month. That's why I'm doing 2 books every year. This is what I can do. But It's my book, and I do what I want,
Yeah,
and
I
I
think
get fine.
that's something that I think also people don't understand. Where I've had people criticize the way I run my business, and I had somebody, and he gave me really good advice. He said, "When you mortgage your house to do this, you can call the shots. But when I mortgage my house to do it, or I am not going out, or I am taking money from my savings to do a project, it's my call and my shot." And I think
Of
it's a
course,
really interesting thing when obviously I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody how to run their book, run their Kickstarter, what story they're going to do. If somebody asks my opinion, says, "Hey, do you like cover A or cover B?" I'll tell them my opinion, but I'm not going to tell you how to run your business. Much like I would hope nobody would tell me how to run mine.
of
And I've
course.
had
I like to hear different opinions. I'm always open to hear from other people what they think, what they work best. But I also want to hear how did they base their opinion? Because if you have experience of like 6 months reading superhero comics, please, like you don't have experience at all.
yeah, no. I
You just
agree.
have a little bit of faith. So if you have your own company doing something like buying and selling comic books, it's your company. And I will always help all independent comic book stores and comic book sellers because I'm not helping you. We are helping each other actually. And that's the main thing.
That's how I feel when I pick up a retail package, and I'm very honest about this. I'm helping that independent, Kickstarter get potentially to a new customer, and they're helping me. And if I'm making $5, $10 on your book, but obviously you're making $3 by selling it to me, well, who knows? Maybe if I find you 10 new customers, that's clearly worth more. And it's very interesting. But you mentioned something about opinions and things of that. And obviously, you stated it, I think, very well. And I think it's a very good lesson is that opinions can be very helpful, but it's what are they based in? So I've
Based
had,
on the knowledge, nothing else.
what did you say?
Opinions should be based on a knowledge, not on a taste that is like, hey, I have taste for this book this week and next week something else. So
I mean,
knowledge, experience, education, artistic knowledge, all of those things are important.
my opinions have changed on certain things. I'm a big crypto guy, and my opinions changed on that because of two reasons. A, somebody I trust convinced me otherwise, and it was an act of faith to some degree, what I took, but it was also track record, and it was also recognizing where something is going. But it's also who is saying it sometimes. Where somebody has a very good record, what I find is I'm more likely to take what they're saying and their thought process heavier versus somebody who says, "Oh, I don't really like the way you sold this book on eBay, man." That's a little bit different. But if another eBay seller said, "Hey, did you think about buying this?" Or you're looking at this, obviously they have a different opinion. Or I have friends who are big comic collectors, and they've shifted my opinion on things as well. But I agree that it's definitely based on knowledge, experience, and a variety of other stuff. And it's also who's saying it. Because if somebody prominent says something, that's going to carry more weight than somebody who is, nobody. But I digress massively. I do want to talk about your rewards though,
What
because
was,
on your Kickstarter,
I don't know. Which one? What do you mean?
your covers.
Ah, my covers.
Aren't they called rewards on Kickstarter? Like, or are they pledges? Yeah, I'm
Aha,
so
rewards. Sorry.
yes.
Rewards. I said like awards. What awards?
Oh, I said rewards.
No. It's just because of the loudspeaker. My loudspeaker is maybe not so good. I misunderstood. Rewards. Thank you.
I thought
My
I was
covers
saying
are
oh
fun.
rewards this time. Clearly, I thought I've been saying it wrong for the last like 10 years. Oh my gosh, this is really bad.
No, sorry, it's my loudspeakers. So this cover that you're showing right now is colored by Sanju. Everybody knows Sanju. He's
He's been
from
on this
India.
show. He's been on
Sorry?
this show. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you know.
He's great. He's from India. He's great.
Okay, so everybody knows him. Of course, I did pencils and inks.
And then
Uh,
this is the same version of that, a little bit reversed, I think, because I think
upside
that
down.
the red one's on top, and this one, the green one's on top, and this also is obviously nude. So what is that like to mix it up and then also have a nude cover with it and then have fun with that because people like
I
nude.
did bunch of covers with him, with Andrew, and all of those covers were done in two, sometimes three versions, depending on the position of the character. So with him, it's always fun to work. Of course, he just did one, and then I do the editing, rotating, covering, changing the backgrounds. He's supplying me with the PSD file so I can just do all the adjustments and editing that I like, that I prefer. So great working with him. Second cover was colored by Chuck Michaelova. He's from Philippines and he's also a great artist. I'm not sure, do you have that one? That
Oh, this
color,
one?
yes, only Ruby. And there are also two versions.
Yeah, so let's actually talk about the we'll show the third one too while we're at it.
Third one, I did the colors.
There's this one which is cool, and then this one's awesome. Like I like this one more than I like the first one, and I'm not a big nude cover guy, but I like how we could see her wings in this one.
That you can see the wings, and those are little things that people don't notice, like a little bit of color theory that I actually teach at the school when you're applying different kinds of contrast, values contrast and color contrast to your artwork to achieve certain effects. I mean, you said wings are awesome. This is because I don't have a background. And I reversed the color of the plane, so the plane is not green in that one.
No. It's very cool, and even to go into this too, right here because of this one. Obviously, I mean, I don't think you reversed much on this one versus this one, but even on this one, you have the red girl and the red sister downward, and then you have the green sister sitting on top, and then on this one, on I guess the safer work one, the red sister is sitting on top, and the green sister is sitting below. But what's crazy is that
It's
it
made to look like a playing card.
yes, I was gonna go with that. But
That's the whole point.
what I love about it is that this is completely reversed. So you almost just like flipped
Yes, upside down.
it's so cool. It's so cool. And it's so brilliant in so many ways because it's so simple and it's brilliant.
Yes, because I'm cool and brilliant. No, I'm kidding.
You should have just ran with it. You should have just ran with it. Oh, I love it because some people would want to revise and leave it as it is, but to mix it up is fun. And I think again, this goes back to having a good time in comics. And also, if you have a nude cover, and I know Steph Wilson does this really well, where he'll make his nude cover a little bit more fun. So he had one where the girl was clothed and it was this like chibi bat. And then when her top came off, all these like 10 other bats showed up to kind of look. And it made the cover fun. And that's what I see happening here is that you're not necessarily making it fun, but you're mixing it up so that it's providing a different cover. And it also creates an incentive for somebody to get both if they like both.
Incentive is always important. You as a seller know that. And nude covers are always hard to make and to print. and they're a little more expensive. So besides doing the nice art, it's also nice to make a little bit extra money.
I mean, the nude side of that is one thing, but I even think that if you just had this cover and you had it reversed also, I think that would be great too, even in just a safer work, because I think it creates, an alternative. And that's what I love about this is that it's creating almost a dual alternative. And I think it's even more brilliant than people realize because now if you want both girls on top and on the bottom and you want the full playing card experience, you have to get both. It's brilliant in so many ways, and it's like the art of selling without selling. It's so smart.
Hopefully, hopefully maybe in a fourth book or fifth book, I will have enough images to make a full playing card set as an add-on. So I know it will be a low run and it will cost a lot, but it will be fun.
It's so smart. It's just so smart. And then obviously, I mean, it's just really, really, really just smart and brilliant and clever. And I
Thank
know, I
you.
know. What would you say?
I just said thank you because I think it's not so exclusive or original. It's just because I'm old and that's it. I did it so many times.
But that's the thing. I think everybody, and this is just my opinion, and I'll be very honest. I think everybody is trying to do things that are so complicated. And I'm a huge wrestling fan. I'm a huge anime fan. And what I find as an individual is that the simplest ideas sometimes are the most brilliant because nobody's doing them. And they're staring us right in the face, and simplicity works. And that's why I say this is brilliant because to me, this
Simple
is
is hard to do because you can't make a mistake. If you are doing with tons of lines and details and interesting things, you're actually overwhelming the audience, you're covering your mistakes, and the audience can see what are the problems. Here in this cover, it's so simple. You just have a positive and negative space that is attached to each other, so they're complementing each other with their qualities.
Yeah, no, I just absolutely, I think it's simple. Things that are simple, you said it perfectly, are hard. And also, I don't even, for me, it's just like, it's so obvious after you see that cover A to do the exact same thing with the naughty one, but flip it upside down. It's so just right there. And the fact that you didn't try to reinvent the wheel, oh man, I just think it's brilliant and it's probably cost
You
effective.
see how they're fitting into each other geometrically on those covers. The thing is, there is a old artist, famous MC Escher, who was doing that like 100 years ago, measuring and adjusting fitting geometrical objects and making them organic to fit into each other. He even died like 50 years ago. And if you use him as a base for your analysis and his geometrical division of space, you will understand that everything I did is not so original. It's just art history. Nothing else.
Well, I think it's brilliant, and I think it's brilliant. I think it's so smart, and I think it's cost effective, and I think it's a lot of things. And I think a lot of people could take a lesson from you, and in these two covers in particular. But again, that's what I think. And
No, no, thank you, but I'm saying I'm not modest. I'm just saying this is art history. I didn't invent it.
I wouldn't be saying it if I didn't believe it. So we're gonna leave it at that. But you also can get, just cover A. I think you could get just the naughty cover. I think you get both the cover A set. You could get cover B sets. You can get cover C sets. You get all three of the nice covers. You could get, I think, all the naughty covers. I think you get all 6 issues collectively in a bundle on this entire Kickstarter. I think you can get the nice and naughty, if I didn't already say it, for issues 1. Nice covers for issues 1 and 2, which is 6 books. I think you can get, the nice and naughty for issue 2 as well. and possibly.
Original artwork you can get. That's the point. Getting
I'm getting there.
original.
I'm getting there, man. Please.
I know, but there are so many different options. You know, a lot of people like my covers, but a lot of people can't display or can't own naughty covers. That's why I have a lot of packages with just nice stuff because of the different type of customers, nothing else.
Well, what they're really saying is that I happily am married or I have a girlfriend, and if I get your naughty cover, she's gonna make me sleep on the couch. That's what they're really saying, guys. Um,
Nah, don't do that, please.
what you everybody really has to do is you have to know when the package is coming to intercept it, and you got to hide the naughty covers really quickly, preferably in a short box, and you'll be fine, everybody. You'll be fine.
That's only North America. Everything else is different.
But all jokes aside, obviously you can get, I think, the original pencils. I think you can get the original inks. I think there's also like the original colors of original art, and I think you also get all 6 books attached with that. I think you could also get an original artwork from you, and I think that's commissioned. And so you offer a lot of different things that people can pick up. And obviously, you've done a lot of work for a lot of people. And so, what is that like? Because people can go as far as they want to go on this campaign.
Not just that. It's because a lot of people like what I do, but people have different financial situations. So if somebody wants to afford something super expensive, I will give him super crazy, elaborate, big, full color original artwork. If somebody just like my work but don't have an extra money, it's hard times, inflation is crazy, interest rates are crazy. Okay, you can just get one book. What can I do? The worst part for the backers and for me is that I live in Canada and the postage rates are very, very high. Also, all the shipping materials went up. So comic book mailers used to be $1, now they're 3 here in Canada.
Yeah, let's actually talk about what you just mentioned, because this is one of the things, and I'm speaking with Hart Fisher about this of all people, is understanding, your audience and understanding different price ranges and understanding, and I was speaking with Matt Knowles about this too, is that, different areas in America, and I don't know about Canada, have different economics. And so you need to build product for different, I guess, groups, where one group might be able to afford a $50 book and another group might only be able to afford a 10. And, my view on all this, and this is just in business, is you want to have merchandise for every single group, where somebody might be able to afford a $300 Kickstarter package and somebody might only be able to afford a $25 one. And you want to hit both targets, because if you exclude one, obviously you're losing clients, and you don't want to lose clients. I mean, that's just bad business.
Like if people can't afford original artwork or small commissions or the big packages with 12 books or 6 books, they still want to enjoy the story. They still want to have fun. So giving people something for the lowest possible price. So after paying the artists, colorists who are helping me, paying the postage, paying the taxes, fees, Kickstarter fee, money transfer fee, whatever, printing, of course, in those small, let's say, lower amount of dollar packages, I'm not making anything. Literally, I just give those books at cost. It sounds weird that you're not making any money, but on the other hand, there are also people who like to have original artwork, and I cover all my costs, all my work with them. So it's not like shooting the target to the different customers, but giving people fun, opportunity to have fun and to read the book.
Yeah, and I'll be very honest. I mean, I can't afford a $900 commission or a $350 commission. Obviously, I run an eBay business, and that does well, but I'm not going to go put the business at risk. But I can afford a $25 book or a $50 book. But even, I think most people can't necessarily drop, 350 bucks, 400, 500, $600 for certain commissions sometimes, but they say, look, I'm happy to buy your book. And also there's the other side of this too, where I come across somebody's Kickstarter and I'm like, cool, your book's $10. I'll risk 10 bucks or I'll risk $25 to try your book. But if your most expensive package is 100 bucks, I'm probably going to say no, thank you, because I get priced out very, very quickly. Where, and I use, a variant rule at 20. So between $15 to $30 for a variant on Kickstarter is where I'm at as a consumer. And a cover A, I'm at 10 to 15. Sometimes I understand why it's more, sometimes I don't. And it depends on the book, it depends on who's worked on it, but it's a very complicated thing. But again,
Honestly, I can break down the math for everybody. If somebody's saying this is expensive, tell me, what do you think and why do you think this is expensive? And I will explain you everything regarding the cost that is involved in producing the book, because I'm doing the whole production, and what are the costs of the artists that are helping me with the colors, and then if it's a commission, why is commission expensive? For example, if I spend on a commission 2 days and I ask, let's say, 400 bucks, that's a 200 bucks per day. Then you split it on the hours, that's like 25 bucks an hour. So it's not like a highly paid job. It's like
I'm not
barely paying the bill type of job.
But believe me, every once in a while on eBay, somebody says, "Cool, I'll give you 20 bucks for this book," and I'm like, "Well, this book was $25 and it was brand new. It's been out of print." Everyone's like, "Oh, I'll give you 25 bucks for it." I'm like, "No, no, no. You have to understand. eBay takes 13%. I have to pay taxes on it. I have to set money aside. I have to make a profit." And the person's like, they're like, "Oh, you could just sell it to me for 25 bucks," and I'm like, "No, I can't, because I'm going to lose money, and there's expenses with things." So I get it completely. I'm just saying, as a consumer, my numbers are set in a certain parameter, and I'm not the only one, and it's what I feel comfortable with. But if somebody wants to charge more and they can get away with it, God bless you. All the more power. My numbers are not the same as somebody else's, and they may or may not agree with the market. But that's where I'm at. But again, I digress, but it also depends on the creator. It depends whose book it is. It also depends, what stretch goals they have. It also depends how well do I know the person. It also depends where they're at. It also depends how big the book is. There's a million factors that depend. Because if you're charging $30 for a 144-page graphic novel on Kickstarter, that's a little bit different than if you're charging $30 for a 12-page book. A little bit different, right? I mean, so that's where I'm at, but I digress.
There are different types of math that you can do depending on printing costs. Where are you doing the printing? Are you doing printing here, or are you doing printing in China? Because here you can do smaller runs, but it's way more expensive. There you have to go to the offset print, not digital print. The runs are huge, but the price is down. So you need to have huge amount of books done to lower the amount of dollars that you have to invest in the book. Then you can sell the book cheaper, but you need to build also huge audience. So it's just simple math. What I do with my basic packages is I just cover my costs.
Hey, it is what it is. And you know what is? again. I have different parameters that I set up that work, and the market sometimes agrees with me, and sometimes it doesn't. As far as Kickstarter, but who am I to tell anybody how to run their business? I'm not going to tell
Yeah.
any creator what to charge, what not to charge, and that's just that. And
The
obviously,
thing is, this is your business, and in my point of view, I can afford not to make any money on basic packages. I can afford to make zero, break even, and to have fun. And that's the whole point. So people can read the book, people can enjoy the book, and if I make like $1 or $0, okay, I will cover up that cost with my work at the studio, and I will just transfer the money from one to another job.
but you also have the luxury that you're doing issue 3, and then potentially you're going to do an issue 4. And once the story is written, obviously, you can always put this in a trade paperback. You could always print, it again at a later date, maybe not with these covers, but once it's created, you don't have to recreate it. So there's always money on the back end potentially.
I know, but hopefully when it comes to the book 4 or 5, I will have bigger audience, bigger fan base, more people to buy. That's why I'm saying people go to Kickstarter, my Kickstarter, and get the books.
Yeah, and every time you do one, you're gonna grow your audience just statistically. So obviously, I mean, there's a million things, but again,
I
I'm not
know
gonna
it
tell
takes
anybody how to
time.
run a business. That
It
that that, that
takes, I wanted to say it takes time to grow audience and it takes a lot of help from people, let's say like you, so we can, as I said, work together. So you're not selling my books, I'm helping you, but you're helping me as well. So working together, so nobody's scamming anybody else. That's the whole point.
Yeah, no. I agree. I agree. I try not to scam people, but I think some people understand the concept of working together and entering a partnership, and some people don't. And it's a very complicated thing. And I have my own thoughts on retail. I have my own thoughts on everything. And I'm sure plenty of people at some point are going to hear my thoughts on all that. But that's that. It is what it is. But yeah, it's fascinating. But I do want to back out of your Kickstarter. You got a lot of rewards. You got a lot of stuff going on. And I do want to give you a chance though to promote yourself. Because I know you got a lot of stuff going on. I know you do a lot of work for a lot of other people. I know that you have a lot of covers coming out with a lot of indie people. And obviously you have this campaign going on. So where could people find you, follow your work, check out what you're doing? If you have a website, social media, other things you're doing, all that fun stuff, because it is so important now to follow people on social media and engage with
Thanks. People can find me on Facebook mostly because I'm lazy for Instagram. I'm super lazy to make my own website because you have to maintain it, update it, and you can see I'm old and I don't like to do that. It's boring, so self-promotion is not important to me. I'm in this for more than 30 years. Currently, I'm planning more to go to vacation than to make another book.
And then I'm just going to keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. You have to follow people on social media. You have to support them in comics. And what that means is that when somebody has a Kickstarter, you actually need to go out and back that campaign and actually get their books and back their campaign and throw money, whether it's $1, $5, $25, however much it is. You need to go out there and actually back people's campaigns. Furthermore, if it's not for you, you should at least share it out or like it. When people have social media, you should be following them and engaging with them on those platforms, because that does make a difference. And all this stuff matters, because without support and without money, projects don't get made. And if you like something and you want to see more of it, you need to support it and financially support it. because that's
What,
what makes this go faster. It's like fuel into the engine. The more
what you
fuel
can
you
see,
have,
for example, if you go to my Kickstarter, you can see that I didn't support a lot of Kickstarters so far. That's obvious. But what I do is actually I share tons of Kickstarters of people that I like, people that I know. But instead of supporting the campaign directly, where big amount of big chunk of money goes to the Kickstarter, goes to the different fees, the taxes and whatever, I just go and buy the books directly from the artist through mail or directly at the Comic Cons. So right now behind me you don't see any shelves. I have my rooms down there in the basement with hundreds of books, all kinds of books. Spending a lot of money on every single Comic Con buying stuff directly from the artist. So there are no middlemen who are taking their fees. And I think that's not a lot, but it helps more.
yeah, no, I like to buy directly from artists. I am not a fan of retail packages, to be quite honest. I actually just did a deal with somebody where I bought it directly from them, because I said, look, we could do it on your Kickstarter, we could do it off your Kickstarter, but I said I expect stretch goals, and he kind of laughed. It was very funny, but he understood why. I'm a big card collector, and there's a card in this stretch goal, and I said I want that card. Super cool. That was the contingency of the deal. But I would rather buy directly from somebody, to be honest, and have them get, 98% versus getting 90. And to me, it doesn't make a difference. So there you go. But I digress on all of
Yes,
that.
when you said stretch goals, you maybe forgot to say something, or I forgot to say. On my campaign, I don't have a stretch goal, so people don't have to get enough money to me in order to get something. So I just made already pre-made prints and stickers that I'm sending to everybody, no matter how much books I sell or no matter how much money or how many backers. There are no stretch goals. Everybody is getting it.
No, I think that's smart. I'm going to be doing
It's
a
just
project.
friendly.
I'm going to be doing a project at some point this year or early next year, and I am not going to reveal any of the stretch goals, and they're all going to be secret. I'm going to say it's unlocked, but I'm not telling you what it is, and it's going to be fun because you're going to be like, this is kind of cool, and I'm willing to take a gamble that I'm like, we have stretch goals, and yeah, I don't want you to know what they are because you're going to be pleasantly surprised. And I have a feeling people are going to be like, dude, like, why didn't you tell me this was happening? And because that shouldn't be a reason why you back this book. And I'm a strong believer that I love stretch goals, but stretch goals should not be a reason you back a book. And I think it's actually really toxic that people back projects based on the stretch goals. And I think it's actually really bad versus supporting the book and then being like, oh, snap, we had an act of faith, and these stretch goals blew us all out of the water. But again, I like taking big risks, and I like going
No,
against.
that's a good thing. Send me a link once when you have that campaign. I would support you.
Oh, I got some seriously cool stretch goal ideas, but they're all going to be secret. They're all going to be secret. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be, and people are going to open it and be like, "What the fuck's in this package?" It's going to be great. But I digress.
Maybe some socks with your characters printed on.
That's actually a really good idea. If I could do it affordable, I would absolutely do it. It'd be great. You'd be like, dude, this is wicked crazy. The problem is that everybody has different sizes. It'd be so weird. But I digress. I'm just gonna promote myself because that's what I do on this show. I am Pop Anime Comics on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. one of the best ways how to support me and everything that I do is following me on social media and engaging with me on social media. Makes a huge difference. I appreciate when people follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, Twitter. I really appreciate subscriptions on YouTube. Huge deal. Also, my ad rates, if you would like to advertise on the show, are up there. I also have Buy Me a Coffee. It's not necessary, anybody, but I am independent media, so I greatly appreciate when people buy me a coffee. It makes a huge difference in everything that I do. But again, it's not necessary for anybody. And there's a bunch of other stuff. Obviously, I have a T-shirt on Redbubble that you could buy. It's pretty much made to order, 16 different colors. And that's pretty much everything that I got going on. But I really appreciate when people actually engage with me on social media, because that's the thing that matters the most, and preferably subscribing on YouTube. I can't reiterate that enough, because that's right now arguably the most important thing, more so than money. But that's everything that I got to promote. Everything that's going on with me. I appreciate everybody watching. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
I don't have anything to say. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Andrew, and thanks everybody who is watching this and who's going to watch this in the future.
Well, I couldn't say that any better myself, everybody, and that is a wrap.